In 3, 2, 1. Mike G, Johnny G. Hey, the boys are back in town, man. What's going on, guys?
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
About damn time, man.
Well,
every day I hear about, we launched episode 27. Like that.
7 episodes.
What about me?
Chill. We had to do it, man. We had to do it. Well, we're starting season 2, episode 1 today. Hopefully, we finally got my older brother, my confidant, my leader here. Let's give a quick shout out to the video that we're doing over here.
What's up,
we're
man?
on
First
video,
off,
guys.
cheers, guys.
Yes.
Cheers, man.
Salute.
Cheers,
Yes, sir.
Drinking some. What are we drinking, Matt?
This is Axe and the Oak.
Whoa, is this going to go on copyright? Can we promote this?
We're not promoting it.
We're not promoting it. Yeah, I'm just saying what I'm drinking.
Yeah,
drinking,
YouTube doesn't really, if you're drinking like Dos Equis, right, they're going to tell you, right? It's not a bad thing if you're on YouTube drinking Dos Equis, right?
I don't know, dude. I took an Instagram once. I wrote Dos Equis, though, and it took it off from me, so I don't know if we can.
Maybe writing it.
Yeah,
but I mean,
no, I take that back. It wasn't even writing. It was.
Because like you said, there's YouTube videos all the time, they're drinking like brands and all
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
mean,
As long as you're not promoting that
you know
crap.
I'm wearing a Astros hat, so is Astros gonna sue me?
Right,
They
tomorrow.
probably are, dude, because they're fucking cheaters.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's crazy.
But I still support my Astros, right?
Oh, diehard
So-
fan. That's the whole thing about that thing. Kind of pissed me off was that everybody was making it seem like the Astros are the only team in the MLB that cheats.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude. The Red Sox. Did you hear the penalties that came out? Who's their Who's their coach? The Boston. Was it their GM or
Alex
their
It was
coach?
Alex Cora, right? He
Alex
was on the
Cora. He got
Astros staff
suspended
as
till
well.
2020, and but they didn't get harsh punishments as
No,
the
I mean,
Astros.
they got some pretty harsh punishments, but my thing is like, no one's talking about them. No one's talking about banging on trash cans at their spring training.
Yeah.
It's just Astros, right?
Well, nobody gives a damn anymore. It was the Astros because they won the World Series.
Well, I
that's
mean,
why.
Boston did too the year after, right?
Oh,
So
damn, that's right. That's right.
why I don't like.
Yeah.
Why isn't a huge deal about that?
Well, I've always said this from the beginning. Everybody hates on the Houston sports team in general, right? Like if like a scandal were to come out with the Rockets, everybody be blowing that up, right? Because everybody like seems to hate Houston Texans, Houston Rockets.
I mean,
Houston
I don't know
Astros.
what it is, and people can be like, "Oh man, quit. Houston's not that big of a deal," which I get. We're not a huge market like L.A. or New
I'd say we're,
York,
like in the middle
but
somewhere.
it's still like you just feel that hate, man.
Yeah.
Like, the '90s was great. Everyone loves Akeem. No one hated on the '90s Rockets with Akeem,
Yeah.
but I felt it was because he was a humble guy. Like he wasn't in the media. He didn't open his mouth much. But even when you look back, man, like Steve Francis times, people hated on the Rockets.
Yeah.
T-Mac, he was loved in Orlando and Toronto. He
Got
comes
to
to Houston,
Houston,
fucking
gets
hated, dude.
Yeah.
Harden, most hated player in the NBA.
Yeah.
He can't do right. And
Well, honestly, I think that has to do a little bit with the star power you got. In the 90s, everybody loved Hakeem. And I wouldn't even say love, because even now, people still don't give him the credit he really deserves. But I think they respected him because they had no other choice. Like, damn, that dude is just so good. Like, what can you say? Like, oh, he's not that good. Like, no, bitch, he's dominating everybody. He's dominating you in every stat sheet. Points, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage.
Who, Hakeem?
Hakeem, when he was playing in the night,
Yeah.
he was the top 3 player in the league for sure, if not the best player in the league. I mean, everybody's gonna give it to MJ, but even then, you get Steve Francis, T-Mac, and James Harden. Those guys aren't undoubtedly the best guys in the NBA. That's not but they're elite. They're elite players.
Yeah.
Well, Steve had like a little window. He was like Rookie of the Year, I think, in 2002.
he was all-star most of the years.
He only made
played.
two like All-Star teams though. I
No, I
think.
think it was more than that.
Steve Francis. He made it with Coutinho though. Was he an All-Star that
I
he
think,
did
I think most of his time in Houston, he was an all-star.
Well, because you look back at it, when you go back in time in hindsight, during growing up, because we came up in the 2000s, right? That was your high school years. That was like my elementary, middle school years when Stevie franchise took over that Rockets team. It felt like forever, I guess, because you're younger and you're just, time moves a little slower when you're a kid, I think. But when you look back at it, he was only, relevant 2 seasons, 3 seasons.
I think a little more than that.
Well, because
But
then
yeah,
after
I mean,
that, when Van Gundy came in, he kind of started just teetering off a little
Yeah.
bit, and he got traded to Orlando, and he fell off right there. So I want to say where he was like a legit, like, hey, this guy's a threat, a all-star, was maybe 2-3 seasons max.
How old was he when he got traded to Orlando?
yeah,
I don't
couldn't
know,
tell
dude.
you
He
his
was a-
age.
But
I love Stevie, and I don't mean to bash him or trash him or anything, but he was for sure doing stuff when he was in the league, bro. He came out and said that he was smoking weed.
everybody does that. All NBA players do.
I think he
J.R.
was
Smith
doing
and
more
all
than
No,
that.
no,
just
but that's
weed,
what I was about
right?
to say.
I
For
think
sure,
he was,
Creed, but he was doing crack, dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think he was doing.
Well, he was like in his
he
prime.
was.
yeah.
I think he was like an alcoholic.
He said it already. He said it himself, so it's nothing. I'm not like throwing him under the bus. Or he's come out and said I had demons in the league, and you know who he said in an interview? I was watching it on YouTube like a few months ago. He said like his best friend in the league. You would think it was Katino Mobley or Yao Ming. He said it was Kelvin Cato. That dude like rescued him so many times because they had like practice in the morning. This bitch Steve Francis would be out like at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. making it rain in the strip clubs and all that.
He comes surprised.
And you ask him, Steve, would you do it all over? He said, nah, I'd do it again, That's a great memories.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy though. No,
but then and then after the Stevie franchise era, you got T-Mac in that bitch. I don't know, man. When your biggest highlight is making 13 points in 33 seconds, memorable game. Everybody talks about it, but it kind of tells to the kind of player you were, bro. He wasn't a really good leader. I don't know, man.
My thing is like he was a great player,
Great offense. Well, was he a good defender?
He was a great. But when he wasn't really known for his D.
Yeah. Dad, he remembers that you were all for the T-Mac trade, right?
Yeah, when that trade came out,
you were like, oh, T-Mac, he's all this and that.
Well, he was good. He was an all-star. He was a superstar.
And Dad was like, no, we got to keep Steve Francis and all that. But you were like on the bandwagon of T-Mac and all that. Because I will admit that at the time he was like scoring champion and all that with Orlando, so he was like a top-tier player.
Oh, for sure.
And
then who else did we get in that trade? We got Juwan Howard as well, and he was a pretty good.
We got Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard in that trade. It was T-Mac, Juwan Howard.
I think we just got T-Mac.
Nah, Juwan Howard, because it was a three-way trade. We gave Steve, Coutinho, Kelvin Cato for T-Mac, Juwan Howard, and some scrub. He wasn't a scrub. He was like a all right, decent player, but
I don't remember.
He was a nobody. I think we fucking waived him that day or something.
But all this happened during Jeff Van Gundy, right? Jeff Van Gundy came in. He did that trade, right? Who was our coach before that?
Rudy T.
No, it wasn't Rudy T.
Yeah, it was Rudy T.
It was Rudy T.
It was Rudy T, and then we got Van Gundy.
You see, the
and
years
it was,
the years between
Rick
like
Adelman.
98 and like whenever that trade happened, or like what happened during that time? Because like when did we go from those jerseys, like the
pinstripe ones, the pajama ones,
to like the Rocket ones?
Everybody hates on those jerseys. Real quick, I'll let you finish. But everybody hates on those jerseys. I like those jerseys, bro. Everybody talks trash like those are the worst Rocket jerseys. No, I get it because they came after those red and gold ones.
Well, they went to those red, the clutch city ones with the rocket and stuff. They went to those in the late 90s.
Nah.
Yeah, because even the 97 season when Charles Barkley was with the Rockets, they
wore the
pinstripes. Nah, they were the pinstripes. That's the one we're talking about?
That's the one Jonathan's talking about, where the logo, the cartoon rocket,
yeah.
whatever.
So what year was that when Charles came? Because those were already
Charles came in 97.
97. They were already like, we went from the red and yellow to the pinstripe one, right? With the rocket logo.
He might have came in 96, but I think
he
it was
came in
97.
That thing, with the Charles Barkley trade, I think just really hit us in a negative way, man, honestly.
Well, it's like
because we had a good thing going with Clyde, Hakeem, and Mario Elliott.
And then we got Scottie Pippen, man.
How do we not win?
Are y'all? I know
John
we're going
Stockton
all over the place, but it's fucking basketball. Nobody even gives a damn. We're talking about old school basketball. But Scottie Pippen, because this MJ, The Last Dance, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Did you see those two episodes?
No, I didn't see it. I told you I wasn't going to watch it, remember?
You're an MJ hater, right?
Yeah, I don't like MJ,
I hate the Chicago Bulls in general, bro. I don't
like
Scottie
Bulls.
Pippen.
I respect the Bulls. I like Scottie Pippen.
No, what? I like MJ more than I like Scottie Pippen.
I like Scottie Pippen more.
Because at least MJ gives his, his
to
credit
him.
At
least Scottie gives MJ his credit. MJ will never say he needed
That's
Scottie.
what I really don't
shit,
like,
dude.
though, bro. Like, Scottie, and I guess you're a good teammate, whatever, but anyways, I'm bringing up Scottie because they said in The Last Dance, the MJ Last Dance, it's chronicling the last season, Jordan was was it the last season or the last championship they won? It's the season they won the last championship.
97, I
yeah,
think.
97, that season they won the championship. They have archive video from that season.
It's the one they beat Utah, right?
Yeah, that's another dude who's real underrated because he never won a chip, Karl Malone.
Yeah.
But anyways, Scottie Pippen, he said I think he only made like 13 million or something really low, like compared to what MJ and all those other guys were making just for the sake of the team. But then he got traded.
We came to Houston.
Was it right after Chicago?
Yeah. He signed as a free agent with Houston.
But he was only here for a season.
He had signed like a 4-year, 60-something million.
Yeah, that's where he got all his money.
contract,
They said he made all his money after he won all his championships.
Yeah. Then after Houston, after that first season, they found it wasn't going to work out, so they traded him to
because of Charles
Portland.
Barkley.
Yeah,
he said he didn't like Charles, man. He couldn't work it. That's what I don't get. Like, Charles, dude, you're washed up already, bro. You're on your last legs. And I get it, so are Hakeem and Clyde, but damn, man, if you really did that to win a chip, you already came. Might as well get behind Pippen, who was still kind of in his prime. I mean, because
but see, the thing that happens right there is you have too much star power, right? You have Akeem, you have Scotty, you have Charles. It's like, and you know those
Clyde as well.
Those what do you call it when like those egos collide, right? Because Akeem, I can see Akeem like saying, hey, you know, I just want to work for the team, right? I want to win a championship. But you know Charles Barkley, he has a big head, right? He wants to be the guy, and then you got Scottie Pippen coming. He wants to prove himself. Like, I just came from Michael Jordan, right? I can lead a team. So when you have like so many stars butting heads, it's gonna cause some chaos, and I think that's what happened to the Rockets. Because like when every team you see, right, that wins a championship, they have a leader, right? Miami Heat, when they were winning all their championships, LeBron was their leader. I mean, there was interviews that when Dwayne Wade came out and said, you know, when they lost to the Mavericks, right, it was an upset. Everyone's like, what the heck, y'all lost to the Mavericks?
Oh, when they formed the Big Three with LeBron?
Yeah, when they formed the Big Three, everybody was still like, is it Dwayne's team? Is it LeBron's team? And then when they lost that championship, Dwayne said that summer, he called LeBron up. He was like, hey, man, this is your team.
It's like, bitch, you should have told them before the season started.
This is your team, and that's the only way we're going to win championships. So once that happened, they won back-to-back.
I mean, and I agree.
I think that's what you need, right? Every team, you can't have two kings in a kingdom. You can't have two leaders within a team, right? You need one guy to lead that team to victory. That's why he won those 2 championships with the Rockets. Hakeem was the leader, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue that.
I don't know. I think Kenny was probably a good leader, too. Kenny Smith, the Jet.
No,
he was the leader of that Rockets team.
He was good, though. But see, the thing with Kenny is, like, he never gives
Hakeem's the great. You know, he was our leader and all that. But he makes it seem like we were all there with them. And
you know, we're watching those videos, right? And they're doing that mock draft on TNT some time back. And Kenny was one of the GMs drafting, right? And they had a big board of just all-time greats.
Yeah. It was a big-ass list, too.
And it was a big-ass list, man. So, you know, granted, you know, they were picking for different positions, right? Not just, you know, across the board. But, his first few picks, it wasn't Hakeem. Somebody else, I think Chris Webber or somebody ended up picking Hakeem.
No, Reggie Miller did it.
Reggie Miller, yeah.
His first 2 picks were MJ.
And Reggie. And Hakeem, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's like Kenny didn't even think about it. It was like, oh, I wouldn't have picked him.
Well, no, but see, what I saw from that video, when Reggie said Hakeem Olajuwon, then Kenny's like, oh, yeah. Like, he got all hyped up. Like, he's hyping up his boy. Don't do it, man. Dude. But what that tells me is, like, in his head, he had already put in his head, I can't choose Hakeem. I won't do that to myself to choose Hakeem. You know, he's like, please, somebody else choose Hakeem because I don't want to do it and look stupid.
To me, that's shit, right?
Yeah,
because
like, dude, come on, bro.
You had the guy, he was a Rockets coach for a while, McHale. He picked nothing but Boston Celtics players. He picked Larry Bird. He picked all those guys. Yeah. So it's like, why are you embarrassed, man? Like, you got 2 championships.
Well, he's embarrassed because
right?
he knows that Hakeem carried them to the championship, bro. McHale can always play it off, you know, like, damn, McHale's one of the greats, you know. If it wasn't for Hakeem, Kenny would not even be on NBA on TNT, bro. That's how they always roast him. Like, Kenny, why aren't you here, dude? You got no championships. Oh, no, not that, because Charles has none either. Like, Kenny, you weren't an all-star. No, Kenny has 2. But he's always like, well, Kenny, why are you? You were never an all-star.
Shaq's always the one who's like, me and Kenny know what winning a championship feels like. You, Chuck, stay on that side, right? So.
Well, I don't know. It brings up an interesting question. I'm asking Mike because Mike's you and Dad are probably the ones who know most about sports, the ones I, refer to or defer to whenever I have a question or in doubt. Do you think championships really matter in determining all-time greats?
I mean, everyone's going to say yeah, and of course they matter to some extent, right? You can't be considered the best and never even gotten close to going to the championship.
Yeah. Well, he went to the finals, Charles.
But I'm saying
in general. Yeah, you're talking in general.
In sports in general, man, you know, to me, it plays a factor, but it shouldn't be what ultimately you're measured against. Because like I said, if that's the case, then everyone points to Bill Russell because he's got 10 rings. 11. He was playing with white guys that probably couldn't jump 5 inches off the ground. Yeah. You know, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I never saw him play. It was way before my time. But my thing is like, why he's great? Like, you know, he wasn't in a dominant centers league in the 90s when he had Patrick
him and Wilt. That was it.
Akeem, David Robinson, Alonzo Mourning. It was a centers league, like, and not just, soft, like who can score. These guys were banging bodies and playing really physical basketball.
And it works the other way too, because if it's the whole ring debate, right? It's like, one, if you're going based on rings, then Bill's the best. But why don't people automatically? He has 11 rings.
My
It's like,
thing
no,
is,
because
like,
everybody knows it's not all about rings.
People go to Kareem, right? And he was
I think
good.
he's underrated, bro. Yeah.
I think he was overrated.
Really?
I mean, look at he played on a damn great team, with the Lakers.
Yeah.
You had Magic, best point guard of all time.
James
on your
Worthy.
team, James Worthy.
Yeah. You had.
So they weren't double teaming his ass, putting 2 or 3 bodies like they would on Akeem,
that Skyhook
David
was,
Robinson,
that Skyhook
Michael
was
Jordan,
deadly, though,
Kobe
bro. Nobody
Bryant,
can stop that.
Yeah. I mean, it was deadly.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna? He wasn't doing it 20 times a game.
Shit, that was his go-to move.
But he played for the Bucks before, right?
He won a championship with the Bucks.
Yeah, he won with them. But
I agree. I don't think everybody knows LeBron's my favorite player in the league right now. He has 3 chips right now versus MJ, and it's just them 2 right now. I think honestly, R.I.P. Kobe, but it's MJ or LeBron that you really can talk about as being the 2
Kobe
goats.
In that situation.
Yeah, I think you definitely got to put Kobe in there.
in
And that's
there,
another one, right? That's another guy that
he played so much like Michael, though, bro.
Yeah,
he's just like Michael, and he has 1 less championship.
But I mean,
and he's not the originator of that style of play.
Maybe, but you can't take that away from him because he played.
I think he's all great. I think it's them 3 in the top 3 for me personally.
You're comparing him to one of the greatest of all time, and if it was so but you copied his style. Well, if it's that simple, then everybody should copy his style and considered one of the greats.
He's
right?
one of the great. I consider him top 3. All I'm saying is when you copy somebody's style, and I'm not saying Kobe copied his style, but he for sure did some things that were very similar to the way MJ played. When you do that, it automatically is going to put you under, because he's the first. MJ was the first one to do all that stuff. You know what I mean? So you got Kobe. You're never going to pass him. But LeBron's playing a whole different way. He's being dominant from steals, assists, scoring. He's what? He passed up Kobe this past season, right?
Yeah.
So he's 3rd in all-time scoring now.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's Kareem's number 1, number 2.
So. What does it all mean? Who would you say is the best player in the NBA?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Me personally, I would say LJ, LeBron James is the GOAT. But I'm saying I understand why people could say MJ. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can argue either way for MJ or LeBron. But if you go MJ, cool. If you go LeBron, cool. But my thing is those are the 2 at the top for me. Yeah. Everybody else just kind of falls under.
Yeah.
So for me, it's them 2 at the top. And then you're going to start comparing, well, Jordan's got 6 rings and LeBron's got only 3. It's like, well, you can't do that, bro. Yeah. LeBron played 10 seasons with a shit Cavs team. His second best player was, who was the bald center he had? Ilgauskas. And then Delonte West. Delonte West, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they say that he hooked up with LJ's mom?
Yeah, something like that. Man, it's just crazy. We can get off sports topics because it just pisses me off. Because I love LeBron James.
Who's your GOAT?
He's LeBron.
LeBron?
Yeah, mainly because I hate Jordan.
I don't like Jordan, dude.
But no, I think LeBron. But I think he's the better overall all-around player because this motherfucker plays defense, bro.
Yeah.
He gives badass passes. And
scoring's not even his number 1 skill set, dude. And he's still leading scoring.
Scoring's easy for him, right?
Yeah.
And he's damn near a triple-double every night, and rebounds, and he can block shots. He plays hard every game.
Yeah.
You never really hear him with any big injuries, and this guy's giving it his all,
His longevity, dude. Everybody kind of.
Honestly, you look at LeBron right now; he's getting up there in age for what a basketball player is. But to me, I think he's got at least 5 years in him.
At the top of the league,
where he can play
for
really
sure, top 5 at
competitively,
least,
right?
Top 5. Yeah.
I mean, because people now are saying, "Oh, Giannis is the best." To me, man, he's overrated.
I think so too, dude.
You drive in, you're long, and no one's taking that away. You can score the damn ball.
Yeah.
You can't shoot for shit. Your D's okay just because you're so long, but you get into that guy's head. You get into that guy's head like they have in the playoffs, and he gets rattled, man. He kind of shies away from it.
Who knocked him? Kawhi, right? Last year, the Raptors.
What do you think about that guy, Kawhi? I think he's legit,
good, man. He's clutch.
He's clutch, dude.
See, I agree. I agree Kawhi's clutch. But just going back to LeBron real quick, because all the haters out there, and Scottie Pippen said it too, LeBron doesn't have that clutch gene. It's okay, what do you mean by that? First of all, that doesn't even make sense because he's hit so many game buzzer beaters, game winners, so that doesn't even make sense. But my thing is, like, what do you mean by clutch? If you mean by clutch that the clock's ticking down 3, 2, 1 and somebody shoots it and he makes the game winner, well then, okay, that could be anybody, dude. There's a lot of people who can do that. That's just a great shooter. But for me, clutch is like, no, dude, who can bring it every damn game and affect the game
just
for the best?
To kind of end the debate on LeBron and kind of move to another topic, Everybody can fucking hate on him all they want.
Yeah.
And the city of LA was one of the biggest ones to hate on his ass. Yeah. He's there and they love his ass to death now. So there's not a person that cheers for somebody in the NBA, for some team, that would not want LeBron James on their basketball team. Of course. And if they say they don't, they're full of shit. Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say it. Yeah. You're full of shit.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking maybe like 3 or 4 years from now, and you're talking about LeBron versus assuming Giannis is still healthy, then it makes sense, right? Hey, bro, you're 39. We got to get Giannis. It makes more sense to get him. But like the way, like you said it,
but
even
right now, even it's a, like you said, it's a championship league. Yeah, people, GMs and owners play for championships. And it helps their ticket sales for the years to come after, right?
Yeah, and that's true.
Even though they might not pull the trigger, but if LA called and offered LeBron James for Giannis, Milwaukee's going to take a few days to think about it.
Yeah,
and they're giving up their future to win and contend for a title for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just bottom line. That's the way it is. Rockets would think about trading Harden's ass for LeBron James.
I would do it right now,
any team in the
Straight
NBA. And if they offered me LeBron for Harden, I would do it in a heartbeat.
You know what pissed me off about that trade, though? Is that Harden would go to LA and he'd end up winning like 2 championships over there because he's such a diva like that.
It wouldn't be for him. It wouldn't be because of him, though.
No, because he has a good team and then the city of LA for him. He's such a diva, dude. Yeah. I mean, when we're, like you said, loyal Houston fans, bro, I'm diehard Rockets fan. When they play, I want them to win. I'm rooting for Harden. But just after year of disappointment, dude, especially with Harden, like choking.
You hear that, Harden? I know, man. You're listening to this podcast somewhere. We love you. You just, man, when the going gets tough, quit jacking up threes in the playoffs, dog. Drive in, bro.
Yeah. Right?
Drive that motherfucker in,
man. We
dude.
should have a championship right now, man. Even when Chris Paul got hurt, we missed those 27 threes in Game 7. Drive that bitch in.
It's like y'all motherfuckers forgot what driving in is.
Oh, you do it all season.
Y'all do layup drills before the goddamn games.
We were talking about basketball and all that, and all I was thinking is, you guys are some sellouts, man. You gotta even give Hakeem like as the top notch or the best player in the NBA, dude. Y'all tell me LBJ is the best player in the NBA and all that.
As the GOAT? Damn, it is true, dude. I did overlook Hakeem, bro.
You did.
Honestly,
you didn't give him credit because there was this.
Right.
I was on Instagram the other day, and because every time they were like, if you want to get a Houston Rockets fan angry, right? Tell them they only won those championships because Michael Jordan was out of the league.
Nah, that ain't true.
That's not true.
It's not true.
It's
you know
not
who's the
true
biggest one who argues that? Robert Horry, dude.
Yeah,
he's the one.
If you see him on YouTube,
like,
he claims like Hakeem's the best ever. Right?
Oh, he says that's the GOAT, and I take it back. LJ, you're my man. If it's not Hakeem,
don't be backtracking. Don't be
backtracking. Nah, dude, Hakeem, honestly. But that's
but when you look at it, man, like all these guys, Kobe, R.I.P. Kobe. But even in one of his interviews, I think it was during his last season, playing when he was one of his last games was here in Houston.
And
he finishes up.
They gave
Hakeem was sitting courtside, and he went and gave him a big hug, and they asked him after the fact, "Hey, we saw you and Hakeem hugged up, man. Y'all were talking for quite some time. What was said?" And he was like, "Man, he goes, I went to pay my respects to him and thanked him for being at the game. And, growing up, I watched him. He goes, I've worked out with him, and he's the nicest guy. He goes, I've been at his house hanging out, and we've worked out together in a day. He's taught me footwork. He had some of the best footwork in the league, and just my ultimate respects for him. He's one of the greatest of all time." So that's coming from Kobe, who, in my opinion, is top 3 players of all time.
Yeah, he's for sure in the top 5, for sure.
All right, so that's just saying a lot.
Yeah, man. Well, it's like you said, he went to work out with him. LeBron James went to go work. After, I think, when he got traded to Miami, or not traded, when he signed with Miami, the first thing he said he did is that, or after that Mavericks loss or something like that, first thing he did, he called up Hakeem and he said, I want to go train with him because that's what I need to get better. Everybody goes to him. Kobe, all these dudes went to Hakeem. So I take it back. LeBron James, you're my number 2, but GOAT for me, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Has LeBron James trained with Hakeem?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's always saying it.
What is that even like? He has his own practice
Hakeem?
or something?
Yeah, Hakeem has got his
like
own
he goes
place.
through the summers in the off season. He'll invite players, or they'll reach out to him. He's like, "Yeah, come to my gym and we'll train." Or Dwight Howard, when he came to Houston, that's all he was doing.
Yeah.
Clint Capella was training with Hakeem.
Why do we trade?
I don't even want to bring up the Rockets because they're just gonna piss me off.
I mean, I guess all we can do right now is just talk because we're not able to watch sports.
Yeah.
Draft was on, but
I'm not a big NFL fan, dude. Who gives it? After like every time I think about the Texans and the NFL,
don't even bring up the Texans, dude. They are just.
We're talking about sports and all that, but
oh no, I'm just.
I feel like they're nobody takes us seriously, man. I give
Well,
an
I
up
don't
on
take
them.
it
I don't
seriously.
think we're a joke.
I mean,
Texans are a
joke.
joke.
My thing is, man, like, and people hate me for it, and I don't give a fuck. I hate the Texans for it. Y'all gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at them. But
I
you
don't
know,
give a
we're
F about
here
the
and we're
Texans.
watching them against the Bills, and I'm man enough to admit it. Y'all were here. You know, I had money on the Bills. You know, my thing, if I can make a bet, I don't really give a shit about the Texans whether they win or lose. I'm gonna make that bet. You know,
Well,
and
see,
I honestly thought the Bills were gonna win.
And I remember I got a little pissed off with you. Not pissed off because, like you said, I don't give a damn about the Texans either. But I was a little talking trash to you because I was like, dude, like I get it, the Texans are trash, but don't bet against them. But then we got to talking afterwards because they won. You're like, man, like the only reason why I did, I would love nothing more for the Texans to win the Super Bowl. He's like, but I got money on them. Even if they beat the Bills, what was it, the first round?
Yeah.
They go to the second round. He goes, they're gonna get knocked out, which they did. They got knocked.
Lose to?
Chiefs.
The Chiefs. And and that's when we had that huge lead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We fucking, we did everything right for the first
quarter and a half.
You know where we
and
went
just
wrong?
Put it on us, right?
We went wrong when he didn't go for it on fourth. Why don't you go for it on
fourth? I blame
fourth,
Bill
man?
O'Brien for everything. More importantly, man, I blame ownership and everybody up top because I don't know what this guy has on him, but you know that's the thing about elite, you know, football. Not necessarily teams, but ownership for elite people. You know, Green Bays of the world, the Seattle Seahawks. You know, people that are contenders.
Patriots.
The Patriots. You know, all these elite teams, Steelers, Eagles. You know. People that have been really good for a long time, you know, always a contender. You know, it's not just the football team. It's the coaches, the GMs. If you're not cutting it, they don't give you this. They definitely don't give you a goddamn extension like they did Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
You know, what has he done? Won the AFC South 4 or 5 years? Like,
well, everybody,
shit,
even the
that
division's
before
a
that,
joke. The division's
you know?
a joke.
And that's the thing. You know, our whole division's a joke. And here we are rewarding this guy because, you know, he's winning the damn division year after year, but we're winning the game and nothing more in the playoffs. Like, and then you know it's a joke, man. They piss me off. You know, then you just breaking news. It comes out of nowhere. Fucking DeAndre Hopkins traded for 2 jumbo jacks. No cheese on that bitch either, bro.
No cheese?
Like, come on,
No cheese?
Nah.
Damn, man.
They get like curly fries with that?
You get your Oreo shake at
Nah,
least?
it's like you get the jumbo jack and you still got to get home and put mayo and mustard on it because motherfucker didn't want to pay for it, bro.
They ended up giving me like a friggin' junior bacon cheeseburger or
You know, it's
something.
like,
Those I wish.
You could have got a double meat, double cheese from Whataburger at least, bro. Shit. You know, like,
that's
goddamn, what are you
hilarious.
doing?
Really, whenever I think about the Texans, man, honestly, I just think joke because nobody takes it seriously. I don't even take it seriously.
No. There's people who take. That's what makes me more upset. Like all these diehard Texans fans. Like, dude, I get it. You're down with your city and all that, but acknowledge that we're a joke at least. Acknowledge that we need you coaching. Yeah.
Like all you see on Bleacher Report and even ESPN is like
We're the laughing stock.
people laugh.
Yeah. Like,
You
damn.
know, like I saw all
Texans.
these posts yesterday on Bleacher Report, like the Texans are the real winners for not making a trade in the first round. Like, you know, saying it was rumored that they were going to trade Deshaun Watson to get a first round draft pick. You know, just
Yeah.
stupid shit that he would do. It's like we're the winners because Bill O'Brien didn't pull the trigger on something.
Yeah.
So that's bad. And then this morning you wake up and Laramie Tunsil got a $66 million 3-year contract.
Did he?
So we're paying this motherfucker
The,
22, the fat ass
offensive
left
line,
tackle,
right?
And he's good, don't get me wrong, but it's like, you know, he led the league in offsides penalties. And people try telling me, oh, it's because he's so good that he jumps first before our, like, no.
No, we're getting flags.
Why isn't every other good, you know, tackle, you know, the most called for offsides?
Yeah.
Like, it's just us. You know, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Tell him slow his ass down. Quit getting so many damn penalties, you know?
No.
But even then, okay, let's say that theory is the truth, that he's just so good. Well, if you know the rest of our line is a piece of shit, why are you giving this man all this money when you're not beefing up the rest of the line? He's going to continue to get all these penalties throughout the year. You know, it just doesn't make sense.
He's
We're
not
a joke.
he's not a GM, man. He's not a coach. Everybody likes him. And the only reason why I don't think they fired him yet is because the players get along really well. Well, I don't know, because because fucking him and but DeAndre's kind of a diva too, though. So I get that. He's threatened holding out, you know. Yeah. But everybody does that. You don't go fucking trade the dude over it, you know. He's like, damn, all right, let's work something out.
You don't have to be best friends, you know, inside
exactly.
inside the locker room, but you know, just perform.
Well, you know, Brady and Bill, they always bucked. You know.
Speaking of football, you saw Gronk sign with the Bucks.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be contenders, though.
I thought he retired, though.
Tom Brady? You could see his arm was going out on him last season, bro.
But he's got a lot of weapons there, though, man.
When Gronk came out, you don't know how Gronk's gonna be, bro.
Yeah, but now the thing is, like, 15 yards and shorter,
they know
he's
the
automatic,
system,
dude.
Yeah,
and that's what Gronk excels in. And then they've got a lot of guys there.
Do they have a lot of weapons? I mean, because I don't know too much about Tampa.
They got Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin. Now they got Gronk. They still got what's that other tight end? O.J. Howard. They're probably going to trade him now, but
O.J. Simpson.
But still, they got a lot of weapons. They just drafted like a really high offensive tackle to kind of strengthen their line.
Who was their quarterback last season? Winston? Jameis Winston. Who is he?
Threw like 98 interceptions.
He threw like 500 interceptions.
And I'm pissed at him, man, because I started that motherfucker in my fantasy league in the championship game. Why? Because they were playing the fucking Texans. So I was like, this dude, he throws a lot of interceptions, but
the Texans corners are shit.
Texans corners are shit. So he won't surprise me if he lights us up for like 6 touchdowns, and that's what I need, right? Because our quarterbacks in fantasy leagues is what is your bread and butter. Your quarterback does really damn good, you probably have a good chance of winning your week. Sure as shit. Yeah. Fucking first 3 throws of the game, 3 interceptions. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, Jameis.
Have you? Do you follow him when I follow him on Instagram? Have you been seeing his workouts that he's been trying to? He's trying to get signed, is all. But people are always commenting like, "Damn, dude, why are you doing like? You should have been doing this shit in middle school and high school."
Who's not signing them? Mike Guzman fantasy league. He's definitely not signing them.
You know who's in my fantasy league? My fantasy league is Tom Brady, but it's not a football fantasy league. It's my guys I would do fantasy league.
That motherfucker, he's got a good life, bro.
Tom Brady.
I
don't think he's that good looking, dude.
He's the GOAT. That's what I'm saying. Even more to like, he's got a great life.
Yeah. Who is his wife? Is Giselle, right?
Giselle, she's hot. She's hot.
She was the
Victoria's Secret.
Was she like the original first famous Victoria's Secret?
Most famous. I think she's been the highest earning model of all time.
Well, who else is like a famous Victoria's Secret model that came out?
It's a secret.
It's Victoria's Secret.
No,
honestly, I think she was like the one that kind of launched that whole Victoria's Secret platform, right? She was like their first head model for like 15 years.
There was another person, I forgot her name. I don't know. We need a fact checker right here, but
where's our fact checker? Who's our Adriana Lima. That's the girl from the Cheetah Girls, right?
Thank you, our
Siri.
fact checker.
First, we got to give a shout out
anonymous fact checker.
Anonymous. Nah, give a shout out to my sister Amanda Guzman for hooking us up. Fact checker. She set this whole thing up.
Hey,
shout out to Mandy G.
But Adriana Lima, now that Mandy.
I don't even know who that is. Honestly, that didn't help me.
Don't ever interrupt.
Yeah, don't ever interrupt me while I'm giving a shout out to the person who.
I'll let you finish the shout out, dude.
Well,
all I'm trying to say is that. I don't, everybody's like, Tom Brady this, he's so handsome.
I think that's just you, bro, right? I joke about it, but I don't say it that much.
No, honestly, because I'll give credit where credit is due, right? If like Bradley Cooper, he's a handsome guy, right?
Good looking dude.
I don't think Tom Brady's that handsome. I mean, you would say as far as like attractiveness, maybe he's like the best, he's the GOAT of football. But I wouldn't say based on his looks solely. He's like this ultimate guy, right? Because there's far more like better looking guys.
He's gotten better looking over the years. When he first started, he was an ugly motherfucker.
No, I think he was better looking when he was younger.
No way. He had like a chubby face and he was bigger. He slimmed down a lot because he's doing a lot of
ugly ass Clark Kent.
Who?
Clark
Kent's good looking. Dude. That's Superman, bro.
Man.
Oh, the ugly ass Clark Kent. Pass me that bottle, bro.
But no, we're going back to Victoria's Secret.
Things move.
You know who Adriana Lima is, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Who, if you had to choose Giselle or Adriana Lima?
Oh, you're gonna get him in trouble, dude.
Yeah,
you're gonna get him in trouble, man.
No, I'm joking.
Hey, dude, this came up the other day.
Hopefully, Anna's lost interest by now. And
I'm sure she has, just like everybody else has already.
Yeah.
Well, we posted those first 7 episodes, and I was telling Jonathan because on Spotify it's his account. You can see the analytics about it, and I won't get into specific numbers because I just don't even make it sound lamer than what we probably already appear. He would give me the numbers every day, and I would just get so depressed, bro. So yeah. Everybody's lost interest.
I think talking to that, even that point, like, we're not necessarily doing this because we want to gain followers or whatever the hell that is.
I want to gain followers, bro. I want to get famous off this.
At the end of the day, and the coronavirus kind of led to this, right?
Yeah, it really did.
We haven't been doing shit, haven't gone anywhere. Like the highlight of my week is going to the damn grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
you're a Kroger HEB guy.
Kroger guy.
K. Roger.
Well, one, I like that they don't make you wait in the line.
HEB's not doing that, dude.
Well, the HEB here in Siena was
Is
making
it?
your ass wait outside, dude. And they're letting,
I think they only do it during like certain hours or something.
which is cool, but I ain't waiting in line for no fucking loaf of bread. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, man. Yeah, and without getting too much into the corona, just because I feel like everybody's beating it to death already. Like you said, we got to give a shout out to corona, and I know it's a pandemic. I know it's not a fucking joke or anything, but like you said, because of it, we decided, hey, man, we've been talking about it for a while already, doing the podcast, so I guess it just kind of gave us the platform. Like, we have really no excuse anymore. Yeah, like, what's your excuse? You're not going out this weekend. Like, if you are, well, I was seeing on the news. Is it true? Do you guys know? Because you guys probably watch the news a little more than me. Are we supposed to all be wearing masks when we go out now?
Yep, it goes effective.
Well, I think
is that just in Houston?
Right?
That's just Houston, right? Harris County, right?
Yeah,
so
I don't think Fort Bend hasn't
Missouri
said
City,
it, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, usually when Harris County rolls something out, Fort Bend.
So what does that mean? Like, Harris County said that you have to wear.
Well, they're gonna fine you if they see you out in public without a mask.
They said like $1,000.
Yeah,
it's crazy. They're trying to make their money back from that stimulus package they gave out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, it's not the city of Houston, right?
I don't even have a face. I have the one we use like when we cut the grass. That's all. Can I wear that?
Yeah,
those are the good ones, bro.
Any mask.
Yeah, everybody's doing like the cloth.
Even a lot of people are making them
like shirts and all that. I was reading an article though.
But before you talk, because I've heard that the coronavirus is you get it through like contact, right? Like actually.
Didn't know it's airborne as well.
What is mask? How is that gonna like help us preventing from getting the corona?
Well, they are saying it is airborne as well.
It is airborne now.
Yeah. Well, it's both. I think that's what's so tricky about it.
No, when it first came out, they said
I think when they first came out, they said it wasn't.
It wasn't airborne. That you had to get it through contact. If you like, let's say for example,
that's why. Yeah, that's why they were focusing so much on wash your hands and hand sanitizer as much as you can.
So but I think it's both though, because now it's like the whole 6 feet thing, because you don't want to be breathing in anybody's room.
I'm saying when they came out, they said that you had to get it through contact, right? So like, let's say I had the corona and I touched this, and I'm like, oh, rubbing it. That's why Rudy Gobert got fined and all that. But let's say I have corona, I'm touching this. The only way you can get it is like if I touch you, contact, right? Or if you touch this.
Your dingus must have corona so bad right now.
It wasn't airborne. So now, like, am I asking, like, how is a face mask gonna really?
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Now I think now, unless I don't know
maybe
what they said, they've changed it for sure, because then they'd be all idiots. I think if they're saying wearing a face mask.
What it does too, aside from the airborne stuff, is that it kind of avoids you. People like me, I bite my nails, so it kind of avoids me going into the grocery store, biting my nails, or sneezing in my hand, coughing into my hand, and then touching stuff around there. The basket, the produce, whatever it is that you're touching, that people are gonna come right behind you and touch as well.
I'm pretty sure it's airborne though. So that's why they're even.
I don't think they even know, airborne. Man,
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, because when they first came out, they were like, "Oh, no animals or pets get it," and now they've
they're saying now they are
like, well, cats or something. Fact checker, right?
Damn.
No. Here, like yesterday, they said
tigers get it.
That pets got it, and they got it from their owners too, like cats.
Yeah. How do they even know about tigers though?
That tiger in the New York Zoo got it.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Do you know how upset that tiger's gotta be?
Roar! I got
the corona. Damn, that must be the most pissed off tiger ever. And they told him while he was watching that show, Tiger King. Have you checked that stuff out, dude?
I saw kind of it. And
I'm not interested in it.
I'll be honest. I only watched it because the hype and all that. It kind of sucks. I mean,
well, I don't know, dude. When it first came out, you were saying it was pretty good.
It was pretty good, but then when you think back,
hey, don't be ashamed of it, bro.
Yeah, don't be ashamed. I feel like there's certain parts of that show that he really enjoyed too, though.
Like when that dude was with his husband or whatever.
Well, yeah, like 2 husbands, bro. I don't even know how he did that. Isn't that illegal? Like to get.
I have no idea, but it's entertaining. That's all it is. It's not like a. I was just watching just to watch it.
Quarantine makes you do some
Quarantine's making you. Hey, man.
We're doing this podcast right now, right?
We need to lift this quarantine, bro. We got to get you back out in the road. You're going crazy, bro.
No, but that's crazy. Switching topics to segue. I'm done with school.
Are you?
For the semester.
You finished? You took your final already?
Yeah, well, my test and all that. The
final's
optional, right?
Final?
I dropped out. No.
Yeah.
It's over.
I'm done with school, but they kicked me out. That's why I didn't graduate.
I'm no longer.
No, wait. So you're done for the rest of the semester?
Yeah. Well, I just need to turn in this one paper, but I'm done.
Oh, really? Congrats, dude.
So
was it easier, the whole online format? I know we talked about this a little before.
Yeah,
but
I mean, because you can kind of cheat, right, if it's online.
Yeah. Well, your professor's watching this right now, so now she's gonna fail you for sure.
But I'm gonna go to jail now. No, but because because with the professors and all that, or it's online, but they make it harder, right? Because now that it's online, they're making it more. I guess, specified. Because when you were going to actually class, taking your exams and like on paper and all that,
you have online exams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
so it's so much easier to have another laptop or just a different browser open, different tab.
It's not a simple ABCD choice. Right?
Yeah, no, I get
it's a free
that.
response that
Yeah.
you have to really understand the concept of what they're teaching to answer, right? So it's not like you can go on Google and like, hey Google, what's the answer to blah blah? Because
but assuming you did study and assuming you'd have some idea more or less of what you're talking about, having it online at home is going to help. So say somebody studied their butt off, and they were ready for an in-class exam. Now that it's take-home online, they must be on cloud nine, right? Because it's even that much easier now.
Sure, if you're a prepared student, you understand the concepts or like the class, you're engaged in that class and all that. It's gonna make it that much easier because you can look at your textbook, you can look at notes, you can go on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But for somebody who doesn't have any idea what's going on in the class, right?
Like you,
like me, all the time.
I give you guys props, and my sister back there who's working the cameras and working the hotlines with all our fans trying to call in and speak to us live and stuff. I appreciate it. And, I haven't heard the phone ring once, but,
bring, bring.
Her battery is at 100. She charged it just to make sure that, when calls came in that it didn't die. But I think now it's like at 105%. That's how little activity she has.
Working.
Yeah. Your signal out here, Sienna, it's not that great signal.
But no, I give you guys all props for, for you, Amanda, and Matthew for finishing school and big accomplishment, and you right around the corner.
Just around the corner.
But I give y'all props, man, because I couldn't do that shit.
You could have done it.
School was not for me, man. That's what I'm saying. I know I could have.
And here's
what I mean is, like, it's not for me because I hated school.
Yeah.
No, but even that,
people would be like, you work and you sit through all this stuff, and then I've learned a lot.
At least you're getting paid for it, though, right?
But that's my thing. Yeah. Motherfuckers are paying me for it. You know what I mean?
And it's an investment too, college, right? That's the main thing. It is. My whole thing of that. Before I don't want to go on a huge rant. So if I start rambling and going on my rant, you guys pull me back in. But you're starting right now. No, but I hear it from everybody. It's not just me, but like you said, you're giving shout out to me, Mandy, Jonathan. Me and Mandy finished school. Jonathan's right around the corner. An awesome thing. We have family members who finished. I know, have a lot of friends who finished, and people, especially people from like the old school, like Dad and all our uncles and Theos and people who didn't graduate. They always give you the props, like, "Hey man, congrats! That's so awesome. You went to school." Yeah. They do it because they probably see the benefit of having a degree in the workforce. Yeah. It is, right? It's if you're trying to get up, move, and get promoted. Everybody more or less now is at least putting it in their description, required bachelor's degree or this X amount of years of relevant work experience.
Yeah.
So they say it for that. But my whole thing, and me and Jonathan talked about this before, so I go rambling, get my back on this, bud. But I really don't see the too much hype in school, I don't think it's one of these things where you should definitely feel proud of accomplishing something, but like you were saying, I couldn't do it. Dude, you could have easily done it. All you got to do is just stay on top of your, There's this misconception that when you come out of college, you did these 4 years, now you're like this super smart guy. It's like, no, man. Really, in reality, most people, all they did was they were able to turn their homeworks in on time, and they were able to at least get a C on their exams.
They were able to accomplish a task.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that I do see. Like I've seen you guys, and Matthew. Now that you're like been working the last couple of years, I've seen it, and even in talking to you, or when I've gone over and you're there working. I think the one thing that college truly adds benefit to is you're being prepared for task and organized, right? And having to stay on top of that stuff as opposed to if you go straight into the workforce like me. I fucking started working when I was in high school, senior in high school. I started working pretty much full time. My scenario was way different, but started working full time. So to where I'm at now, I think I could have, even though I had those first 4 years that I didn't go to college, that I was working full time. I think had I not worked and gone and got my, bachelor degree at that fourth year or fifth year, whenever I came out of college, I would have been way more prepared for, what work life was all about. And I'm not saying that I wasn't, obviously with working those years that I did kind of help grew me into learning that. But I think out of college, if what I'm saying is if you compared someone coming straight out of college to someone straight out of high school, they can be the hardest damn worker in the world.
Yeah.
But I think that college person's definitely going to be way more prepared as far as like, all right, what are my tasks? Let me prioritize some things, and I'm going to tackle it the way I did tackle my exams, my homework, things like that. Because you have to be self-sufficient in college, right? No one's going to be there pinging you, hey, make sure your assignment's turned in on time. You kind of even lose that from your parents, right? Your parents aren't going to be there like they were, through
especially if you moved out or something, right?
Especially if you're somewhere, no one's there, you're on your own. It's like you're working, just like in the workforce. No one's going to be there waking your ass up to go to work. That you have to do that. You have to be self-sufficient in that aspect, responsible. All that stuff comes with it. And I think in college, you start doing that when you're 18. You have to stay on top of your stuff. And that has to come from you, no one else.
And I agree with what you're saying, right? Coming out of college definitely does give you some sort of it prepares you for life in a way too. But like you said, someone coming out and going right into the workforce, it does it as well. It depends on the person, I think. Yeah. But the point I was going to try to make right now is that there is a difference between eloquence and intelligence, right? Eloquence being like, you may sound smart, and that's what college does. It exposes you to all these professors, to all these classmates who when they speak, they sound intelligent. You had to learn how to speak a certain way if you're going to get through college. You got to learn how to read things a certain way. You got to learn how to network a certain way. And those are all good things, because that's what you take over into the workforce, right? Yeah. Especially if you're looking for like an office desk job where you're actually in the office, you're not going to try to go be a blue collar worker right after work. Because we've talked about this before. When I got out of college, I was like, hey, dude, I think, especially when I was trying to get in the energy business, I was like, man, Mike, I think I want to get into like the shop and all that. And you're like, dude, like, you just got out of college, use that, and you should try to get into the office.
It's not a knock to anybody in the shop. I honestly, for those that don't know anything about me, I started off working in a shop as a mechanic. Yeah. Started off in a warehouse. Shout out my Uncle Eddie, giving me my first real job.
Eddie, we love you.
But then I moved on. Dad got me a job there at Rolls-Royce, and that's kind of where my career started and took off. But for the first 8 years of my working career, I was a shop guy, right? Had tools, turning wrenches, getting dirty.
And it had its benefits, though.
And it had its benefits.
Well, because now you know the equipment, so the product. To me,
it's, and it's not a not, I'm not saying that, hey, only uneducated people. By no means am I saying that. There is people with degrees, with mechanical engineering degrees that work field service, that work in the shop. Some people that get business management degree and they run shop operations and they just enjoy the shop environment. They enjoy manufacturing, right?
Yeah, and those guys might be the
nothing wrong with it. But in your particular case, I think you were looking at it as like, man, I got to start from the very bottom to learn. And I told you, well, you went to school. I know the energy, oil, and gas division is where your heart is, because you had already at that time started talking about, I want to, wanted to be in the medical field, but then you kind of wanted to start transitioning into the energy business. Yeah. So I told you, hey, man, like, I think it's good, but there's roles for you, man, where you can learn just as much if you apply yourself, and you don't have to necessarily start from the bottom, because the difficult thing in working in the shop is, the hours are all over the place, right? So, shop guys, and most of them will tell you, they get the kick and overtime is possible, right? Because your hourly rate is time and a half. You work over 12 or work Sundays, it's double time. So these guys put in enough overtime, they're easily making 6 figures a year, right? Yeah. So that's where it is. So like I was telling you, the studying, and I know you wanted to pursue your go get that master's or whatever it is that you were thinking about doing. I said, hey, you can't have both. There's just no way. You're never going to get any rest. Working in the shop, you can't just say, hey, I got a degree, but I want to work here to learn, but I'm leaving at 3 every day. Like, no, when you're here, your ass is theirs, and it's from 6 to 7, 6 to 8, whatever those hours are. So I told you, man, like, and I think right now you're in a good position, in a position where you're growing and you're getting all that information, and you still have the time, and I'll give you the props, because you've studied a lot, and just talking with you, the equipment pretty good, and still, all of us have a lot to learn, but you have the time, working this job that you have, you're lucky that you have the time to study and all that. But again, that has to come from you. Not everybody's that. Everybody likes to punch in and out, and they're cool. And hey, shit, I'm not gonna hate on them, man. If that's your thing, once you leave work at work, cool. Yeah. But yeah, I think.
Well, no, man, I appreciate that. Honestly, I really do. And in hindsight, and I still think of it the same way. I think today is when I was talking about going into the shop. I wasn't so much, because I think like a lot of people do see it as the bottom, right? Like if you have a lot of entry level shop mechanic guys kind of doing scrub work pretty much, right? I mean, like you told me your first job, a lot of the time they had you sweeping floors sometimes, but my thing was like, I see that, and a lot of people say it's starting from the ground up, but I see that almost kind of like inverted almost, where you just get such a wide range or wide scope, right? Like your view of the whole industry. I feel like you can get a really good view. Of course, you're going to have your specific jobs and stuff, but even like the position I'm at, the reason why I like it a lot right now is because of the same reason, because I'm able to kind of see things from 3,000 miles up a little, because I see how everything's kind of getting connected. Whereas if I came right out of college, got a specific position, I'm already tailoring myself into a certain role, you know. Whereas here you can kind of feel out more or less what you like, learn different aspects of the business. So going back, that was my, looking back in hindsight, that was kind of my mindset when I was looking into that. But yeah, man. But yeah, just going back to what I was trying to say real quick before I get too off topic, the whole eloquent versus intelligent things. You were saying some of the shop guys who, never really get into the office. Those are some of the smartest guys I've talked to, though. They might not be able to...
a lot like, not to cut you off again, because I know exactly what you're going to talk about. And when we mentioned it, right, some of the smartest guys, like I'm a project manager, right, in the energy division. So my thing day to day is managing gas turbines and making sure that customers' equipment's ready to rock and roll when they get called to run. So I'm like their bitch pretty much as far as, whatever they need.
I feel like everybody in this business, you're somebody's
bitch
at some point.
Oil and gas, you're somebody's
exactly.
bitch,
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that,
That's just part of it. It comes with
most
it.
of my customers have been pretty cool. I know what they expect, and we've got pretty good relationships. But no, when my job, I know technically some
you have before I cut you off really quick, I'll let you get right back to it, because you were talking about some of those shop guys are the smartest guys, because there's almost like a two-fold way of like the knowledge. It's like a practical knowledge, and then like I guess you'd call it a theoretical knowledge, where you're just kind of book smart, you know how to execute a task, you know how to talk to people. And some of those shop field service guys, smartest guys, they know the equipment, they know how to fix it. That's what you'd call that practical knowledge. They have that, but they probably don't know how to relate it.
And most of these
guys...
But
just real quick before I get, because you gave me a compliment, I'm going to return the favor. You have both, though, man. You have that practical and that theoretical, able to speak. So I just wanted to kiss your ass really quick. I'll let you go back on what you were saying.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Just kidding. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of times, like I was saying, is... those are my guys that I go to, like technical services and field services. I have pretty good relationships with them, man. When we go to site, I'll take them out to dinner. We bullshit. I've known these guys for a long time. They would come out to the shop when we would get, overloaded with work, and we'd call in field service to come from, most of these guys don't live here in Houston. They're somewhere else, A lot of our guys are from Ohio, Midwest area. So I've built a lot of relationships over them with the years. So now as a PM, I get these guys to go do certain tasks, support outages at customer sites. So they know me pretty good. We get along really well. But yeah, these are the smartest guys. The one thing that they don't have, and they'll be the first ones to tell you, is they don't have soft skills for shit, right? Soft skills meaning
people skills
at all. Like
what's that scene from Office Space, right?
Well, engineers are not good with doing people.
Yeah. So what do you say you do here? He's like, God damn, I got people skills.
So these guys, you definitely wouldn't put them in front of a customer, right, to give a presentation or anything. They'll be the first ones to tell you, fuck that. That's not my job. My job is to turn wrenches and know the equipment, which they do. They know it better than most damn engineers that sit in an office, right? Not only do they know the equipment, but they know fucking their little tricks on how to make things work. That's not in the manual anywhere, right? It's just years of knowledge that they've, years of experience, right? Doing stuff, troubleshooting things. But yeah, those guys have a shitload of technical knowledge, but again, and I'll tell them first off, like, I wouldn't put you in a damn customer meeting if my life depended on it.
Man.
And then they'll tell you, like, if your
I
life
wouldn't want you
depended
to.
on it, I wouldn't want you to call
I wouldn't
me.
want to be in that anyways.
They'll tell you, well, you're fucked if your life depends on me giving a presentation, things like that. But
and it goes back to that.
But bottom line, what I really want to say is all this talk, fuck work.
In an ideal world, Ro, would you be in the energy business? Like, Well, see, okay, I don't. Without throwing anybody
in an
the
ideal world, the energy business has been really damn good to me. I just had my anniversary with Siemens.
Well, I salute to you, man. I salute.
April 1st.
Make it
13 years. So
13. That's an unlucky
So
number, though.
So
right?
shout out to Rose and Siemens for buying us out back in the day. But anyway,
cares.
13 years. But no, I mean, going back to at 18, I never thought I couldn't care less about energy and stuff. Right?
That's what's so cool about.
I'm still trying to fulfill my dream of making it to the NBA.
And you're gonna do it, bro. He's playing in
basketball.
No, I guess to kind of tie it all back a little bit, I have to relate it back to this podcast somehow. Me always trying to find the little loopholes, whatever. You said you started at 18. You said to this day, at 18, you looking back, you had no idea that this is where you would be. And dude, you've been pretty successful, honestly, bro. I mean, there's people coming out of college, like we were talking about, with master's degrees, trying to get the position you have. So, honestly, dude, I know Bob taught us to be humble and all that, not to go, honk your own horn or toot your own horn. But, hey, man, be proud of that 13th anniversary. Salute, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but I started talking about tooting horns and got distracted a little bit. No, but I was tying it back to the podcast. I remember what I was going to say. You've been 13 years. You said you didn't expect you would get to this point. And that's what's the cool thing about life. You can predict, you can try to plan, but you never really know what's going to happen. And tying it back to this podcast, when we all talked about starting this podcast, the thing we said we wanted to do is we just kind of wanted to see where it goes. You got it?
Yep.
Yeah. We ran out of ice though.
Yeah, it's
so all good. You're gonna drink it neat, like a true G. G for Guzman. Shout out. No, but this podcast, when we were talking about it. And Jonathan and I have talked about it a little more because we've been doing those 7 episodes first. We said, man, because I've heard kind of, people talking more, giving me advice, good advice and tips. So when me and Jonathan got together and me and you, we were all together, we were saying we kind of want to format this podcast to kind of see where it's going to go, man. That's what's so cool about this. We got the mics, we got the setup. And we're just going to talk, having a conversation, see where the conversation takes us. And I think that's what's so cool about this, guys.
Yeah, because like everybody was saying, we need topics, right, to discuss, right? Every episode we're going to need topics to discuss. And we kind of agreed, kind of like met like in the middle. We need somebody to talk about, but, we just need to go like off the cuff kind of, right? Because like we had no idea we were going to start talking about basketball and all that right now,
exactly.
Right?
My whole thing with topics is like you're going to lose some you're going to lose that genuine sincerity, We're learning about you, kind of got your little snippet of your little glimpse into what makes Michael Guzman. And that's what's really cool. That's what's so fascinating, Whether we get views or not, that's a whole different story.
I think the thing is, man, like, this podcast, 2 months from now, we might say, fucking, we had 3 people listen to it in its entirety, right? And those 3 people are us. Right?
Yeah, right.
But, like even Anna didn't even listen to it, but no, just and we might look back and people are gonna say, oh, man, what if y'all failed? Like, well, we're not going forward expecting to be anywhere,
success,
right? So I mean, right now, what would we be doing?
We have no bar, really,
watching
right
Netflix or nothing. Like, there's nothing really to do. We can't go anywhere. We can't really do anything. So it's not a waste of my time, at all. Like, I'm not it's whatever.
We're just having fun here, man. We're
drinking. 3 brothers is drinking some whiskey, and
we just got a notification that the
battery's going low
on our camera, and
it's
not
cameras,
cheap.
What the hell?
It's a pretty high dollar camera.
What's the percentage at? 1 little bar. Well, we got some time left.
Hey,
still.
Mandy, you don't have a mic, so you can't speak. Just work the camera.
Speak.
All right?
Okay, well, I kind of fear for this, so.
So no, guys, if the camera,
you planned for this?
I wrote down some topics we could talk about.
If the real quick, just as a disclosure, if the camera shuts off, we're still gonna put this. You'll just have to deal with some audio and no video towards the back end of this, but.
We're working on it, guys. We're a work in progress. That's
we're
for
work
sure.
in progress,
Yeah, for sure.
and we're like Amazon. We're hiring all the time. So if you're willing to work for free and drive a lot of miles and do a lot of work for nothing,
there will be drinks. You will be compensated.
Speaking of Amazon, you guys are talking about all this bull crap where you're having like a brother to brother moment about working on.
That's what we're doing. I don't know what you're doing over there. You're only playing tic tac toe on a piece of paper.
No, Speaking of Amazon, I was watching the Joe Rogan, because you said you watched Joe Rogan a couple times, right? And I was watching it last night, no kidding. And he was talking about the Amazon rainforest.
I think we're going to talk about Amazon.com, dude.
No, okay, so we're going to start a topic right now. He was talking about the
What?
What?
Huh? I think you had too many whiskeys, right? No, so anyways, the Amazon rainforest. You obviously know what the Amazon rainforest, right? It's in Brazil and South America and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So a long time ago, people came, right? Don't give me that.
Is it? You got to ask yourself right now, bro. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth going into out of that? You have something written on that piece of paper.
All I know is that we said we're about to lose video.
Yeah, I know.
And this motherfucker.
So, anyways, a long time ago,
if it dies on us, just let us know.
If it dies, let us know. When people started coming to the New World, right, as far as like the West, the Europeans started coming, there's rumor that people came to the Brazil and Amazon rainforest, and they said that before all this went down, there were actual cities like with millions of people in the Amazon rainforest, right? I mean, there were civilizations. We're talking like millions and millions of people.
They come over on the Mayflower.
Mayflower Compact, right?
Yes.
They came on in the same boat. No, but
well,
so
let
me finish. Dang.
Okay.
So European settlers came, right, and they wrote books about it, like, oh my, the Amazon rainforest. I don't know if it was a rainforest at the time, but there were cities with millions of people with an established way of living, like an advanced way of living, right? It wasn't, they had systems in place. There was
like civilization.
Civilization, right?
Yeah, but I feel like we've known that already. You had the Mayas, the Incas.
No,
they obviously weren't more advanced than the Europeans.
In the Amazon.
The Europeans walked them all out.
Let them finish.
These people came and they wrote books about it, like, oh my God, you should see like so many civilizations. They have a systematic way of living. So when those books and those settlers went back to report it to Europe, they're like, oh my God, we got to, it's awesome in the Amazon, right? We have to go back. But when they came back, everything was gone. There was nothing there. All these people that were reported in that book, that these civilizations living in a systematic way, there was these systems in place, the government in place, nothing was there. So they don't know if disease is what caused these cities.
You would have found bodies though.
These cities to go under, or these cities to vanish.
Is this like a UFO conspiracy or what?
But
what if the plants and shit ate them,
bro?
Let
me finish. But what
plants?
There's a lot of honestly, the Amazon has like the most deadly fucking.
Like those Venus fly traps,
and not only that, but like
animals,
the, insects and shit over there are really deadly.
So what they do with the technology they have today is they do mapping, right? Like as far as like what's in a certain geographic.
They were existing before all
radius.
those animals already. So
and what they're finding now is that what these people were writing back then, as far as like civilizations and like systematic, ways of living and all that, they might be true because they're finding there's signs of life in the Amazon. So they don't know if disease is what killed off these people. Well, but I would say that.
Well, I just want to kind of clarify a little because kind of. So when you say advanced civilizations, do you mean that Europeans came over to the Amazon jungle, which is in Brazil, South America, and they found? When you say civilizations, you mean like the Mayans, the Incas?
They didn't just find a group of people, right? Like,
well, no, the Mayans and Incas and all those guys, those Aztecs, they weren't just.
They found.
They had huge cities.
They found cities with structures.
And those like native like Indians were like.
That's what I mean. What do you mean by advanced? You mean like buildings and like technology?
No. Obviously, they didn't find like New York City and all that skyscrapers. Yeah. They found.
People,
but
that's what the Mayan Incas were, dude.
Well, exactly.
But I don't know if they stretched out that far though.
No, there was people in the Amazon, bro.
But they found signs.
I mean, you had Machu Picchu way up in the mountains.
What I'm trying to say is that there was life in the Amazon before, and now it's
well.
Gone.
See, I don't know what that. I don't know enough about the Amazon. Was there? Did people believe there was no life at all in the Amazon?
No, but right now, I mean, you think of the Amazon rainforest, you just think of forest, right? There's no.
I mean, if you told me people lived in the forest, I wouldn't really be surprised. I thought that's what the case was already. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Is that how you're understanding it? Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. I know it's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
No, but when you think of the Amazon rainforest, you think of just forest, right? I mean, forest, like just trees and and leopards.
No,
and
honestly, honestly, all bullshit aside, I've known that it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, like, people, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you told me there's a village there. But I know, honestly, I'm not bullshitting about that. I've heard, that as far as, like a lot of plants and, like, just shit in general, insects, animals, a lot of shit's deadly over there.
No, for sure.
Okay, so let me paint you an example to make it more clear. It's like if somebody were to, like, let's say from Antarctica, right? They come and discover Houston. Houston's a freaking big city. It's a civilization on its own, right?
Yeah.
Let's say
I guess that's my question.
I think that's what Matthew's saying. It's like when you say civilization, how many people?
Like millions, millions, like with cities, and like it's a civilized society.
Well, like cities, are you talking about like advanced cities like we have in Houston? So they're saying they found a Houston in the jungle.
People, like, we're not gonna.
Well, because you talk about civilization. You go, when we went to Mexico and we went to Teotihuacan, the pyramids and all that, that's a civilization.
I would assume it's kind of like the Aztecs and all that, right?
Well, yeah. Well, see, I don't know. That doesn't sound crazy to me. Now, if you were to tell me, no, man, there was no jungle there, and there was, like, buildings,
but now
and damn.
Let me finish. They're doing, I don't know, laser, there's, like, some new technology. Lasers.
Powers, man.
No, but they're doing, like, laser mapping. I don't even know. You have to look
They're doing
up.
something to...
But they're finding evidence that what these people were reporting, that these civilizations existed in all that society. There was people there.
So, but I guess for me, when you're saying this, I guess for me, the biggest thing to take away from this, not so much that civilizations were there, it's all of a sudden, how did they vanish so quickly?
Exactly.
That's the big takeaway. Because to me, it's like, yeah, if you told me, hey, dude, people lived in the Amazon, about to be
their
assumption.
Yeah, like what I'm trying to get as far as the topic is, their assumption is that the Europeans came and they brought disease, right, like smallpox and all that.
Yeah, but again,
and
that's not like
annihilated these people in the Amazon, and now there's nobody.
I mean, you see it in the U.S. though with the Native Americans; they all got annihilated.
Exactly, but what I'm trying to get at is the question I'm trying to ask is that why didn't the Native Americans? Why was it like the Europeans that had to take it into them like to explore the New World? How much would the world be different if the Native Americans went to Europe? Would we be living in a Native American tribal type of world right now?
No.
Why not?
Civilization moves forward. Advanced technology. Whoever's smart, whoever's better equipment, that's what they're going to do.
Why is it that the Europeans had this?
There's that great book.
I think a lot of times though, it's you can be the greatest mind, but it also what matters. And I think you saw that as what resources you have available, right?
Yeah.
Because let's say you couldn't leave this backyard. We have I think we're 4 smart people here that we can,
I wouldn't know how to survive.
Craft up some stuff. But if you have somebody that lives on 5 acres with a tractor and all kinds of stuff to do more, they don't necessarily have to be on the same playing field as far as like great minds go, but they just have more resources there and they're somewhat smart. And I think that's what the Europeans had, which is why you saw.
So you're saying the Europeans are smarter?
See, I think Jonathan's question
is I think
but what I'm saying is that your basic
like
inclination. Let's say you have the same smart level and all that. Why is it? Because the Native Americans are smart on their own, right? As far as like hunting and all that.
They had more resources, right?
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, no, I think it has to do because I think Jonathan's question is like, hey.
I
know what you're saying. Why is there more chance that the Europeans got smarter, more advanced versus the Native Americans?
I'm trying to ask the question: how much would the world be different
if we were living in like Native American ways?
Explore the New World, it would be vice versa.
Really different.
It'd be really
different. If you had a choice to live in a Native American type of life and the European way of life, which one would you choose? This is
the only way I know. I couldn't. I mean, I hear stories about how the Native Americans live. I couldn't do it.
It's one thing. You have to.
I'm glad. Let me just go off, and it's a tangent, but it still applies to the whole like Aztec, Mayan, way of living, because what kind of fucking turned my world upside down was during that trip. In Mexico, and went to Teotihuacan.
Was it when it's Teotihuacan?
No, it was when we went to Cancun.
When we went to Cancun, right?
Xcaret, right? When we went to Xcaret, and we stayed at night for that show. That it was like a Mayan, Incan like reenactment, right? So we saw that show of them playing that game, where they talked about it's like soccer. But remember, they had the like basketball hoops on the side.
And their goal, sideways though.
The whole goal of the thing was to make whoever could make the most, right? So we're like, damn, this is a
hard ass game. Hard as hell. Like, they would play for days.
It would play for days and probably be like 1-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we're like, damn, like, and they would play for days nonstop, right?
And then we got tripped
out. And then I was like, man, that's a pretty badass game. So then we went on this pyramid tour, and the guide is a local from there. Yeah. and we're hearing them out, and he's like, they would play this game, and so we had just seen the show like a couple of days before. So we're like, damn, yeah, we saw this badass game, like
because you saw an actual field, right? Yeah, where they would actually play.
And we were joking right before that, like, damn, I would have probably scored like 20 goals a game, So we're hyping ourselves up, like we'd be all badass. And then this guy's like, at the end, the winner, they would get beheaded. They would get killed.
They get sacrificed.
The winner?
Like
not even the loser.
No, the winner.
I remember that. Yeah.
So they were like the winner would get killed, the whole damn
like
team.
the captain of the winning team.
Yeah,
the captain of the winning
team.
It was considered like an honor.
It was like the greatest honor to be sacrificed at that time. And I was like,
dude, I'll be losing on
purpose. Yeah, that guy was taking an injury. Like
I'll be like, oh, I can't. I got cramp.
I twisted my ankle. It's hot outside, man. I can't today. I need some water.
Calambre.
That's where the calambre
started. On the grass. Like I'm not wearing socks. I don't want to get calluses on my feet.
No, but I think going back to my question, let me finish.
I think you had a better question though, dude. I think you kind of teetered off into a dumb question. Your real question, I think, would have been a more interesting question, is if you would have said, why didn't why? I think the real question is, if given, assuming that the resources were the same, why did the Europeans get more advanced versus the Native Americans?
Exactly.
Because you have great resources in the Americas, or else we wouldn't live in here or be able to live here.
Exactly.
But you're saying is why did technology come from the West and not from the from the East and not from the West in terms of hemispheres?
Yeah.
And I think you got to look at perspective,
from the East,
bro.
Not the West.
Yeah, East being Eastern
Europeans,
Hemisphere, and then
exactly.
West being the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
That's a cool question. Because if assuming they had the same fertile resources, same fertile land and all that, why? One, I think the Europeans had a lot more time to advance, to develop, because there are, history does say that
why?
Life originated in Africa, so everybody transitioned. And then two, I think it's about perspective, bro. Those Native Americans and all that, they were all into to the gods and to nature and all that. And it still doesn't answer your question. Why were they into it? You had those in Europe as well. You had a lot more population in Europe as well too, though. So you have more opportunity to grow your mind.
I think like even I think the resources, man, is honestly the biggest thing. I mean, when you look at,
I think it's the time.
Well, no, not resources, because like
it has to be resources, right?
The resources are kind of like constant.
Because I mean, even now,
but if you want to get into
now, bro, when you look at it, like you look at importers, key areas in the world are key importers of certain things that the U.S. gets a lot of imports from places that we just can't produce. But they also
export a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, we export a lot of stuff, and exactly why do we export? Because those countries can't produce it. So we have those resources that they don't. And I think if you would see no country whatsoever exporting any of their goods, you would see the world start to fall apart.
Yeah.
So for you to say that resources shouldn't be the thing, they are a big factor, right? And Europe has so many goddamn countries that are very different, have a lot of different resources, and I think you had a lot more of that inter-country, people traveling, from all over the goddamn planet. Definitely, South America, Central America. Those really hard workers that were smart as hell, built pyramids and shit out of mud and fucking hay.
And if you're looking,
but they didn't really have as many resources. They probably didn't have as many people going into the country, giving them that many ideas, dude.
So you got to look at it. There's a lot of factors. Obviously, one, those Native Americans. There's one, like Michael said, in Europe, you have so many more, and not just Europe, just in the whole Eastern world, right? Europe, Asia, Africa. There's so many more people there versus the population that I'm assuming these Native Americans and ancient civilizations took up in the Americas. Right. So one, you just got more people, got more chance to develop. But then you also have less population and a lot more land. So you're going to be isolated in your little piece of you don't know how far. And look honestly, how big the U.S. is. You could fit all of Europe in Texas.
I think
when you how big the U.S. is.
Based on stuff that I've read, based on stuff that I've heard, going on these tours when I do travel to like Mexico and hear about South America, and especially like looking back at Native American, like, the Aztec and Incas and all that stuff. They were like really shy, reserved people. Like they didn't, you walked up on them, they're going to kill you. Like they didn't want anything to do with any outsiders. They were so
they took but then they took all those Europeans in though, because they thought they were gods. So I think what it really comes down to is religion, bro.
No.
That these Native Americans and all that, because everybody believed in religion. Before religion, since day one, guys believed in gods. Whether they were right or wrong is different. Now we know
they worship something.
They worship something. And for the Native Americans, unfortunately, they were worshiping stuff that I guess us as Catholics now believe is, hey, you were wrong, bro, because that ain't nothing what it was. You were not supposed to take off hearts.
Look at like the Roman Empire, which was one of the greatest,
Well, for the longest time, they were pagans, though. Yeah, but
they
converted. They ended up. So you got to see where it all started, the origin. Exactly. Then it takes you all the way back. I guess I don't mean to get all religious on everybody, but the Abraham times, right? That was. They say Jesus was here like 2,000 years ago, and then Abraham was like so many thousand years before that. So you're talking about 4,000 years ago, that religion that God spoke to Abraham, and he started learning. He got aligned, and from what we believe, if we're truly Christian believers, is that, hey, man, God chose the Jewish people as like, that's his people, and from there it's going to start. And if you look back at it, bro, really, that's where it all kind of took off.
No, but what I'm trying to, obviously...
Nobody, and the Native Americans didn't have that on this side of the world.
Yeah,
they didn't have anybody to align their beliefs.
Where both of you are coming from, but what I'm just trying to, I guess, strike is how much different, let's say the Native Americans took it upon themselves to spread their, way of thinking and all that, right? Like the sun gods and all that.
But
and
that's
they went to
Europe,
though. They went to Europe.
They didn't care to. That's what Michael I think is saying.
They instilled their beliefs upon the Europeans.
Well, one, it wouldn't have happened.
They took of European. No, I'm just saying how much different life would be.
Of course, we'd be living all like Native Americans. We'd all be hunting buffalo still, probably.
Is that such a bad thing, though?
But it's crazy. Like, you see the movies and they look corny as hell, but I truly believe that would happen. Like, if for some reason, God came down and said, hey, I'm going to reset this day. And you're going to remember everything, but you're going to have the ability to relive this day, right? And so we whatever we live today, there's probably something in the day that we say, fuck, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I would have sent that extra email at work. Something, right? There's something that you would probably change. You're not going to live it exactly the same way. But I feel like in doing that, you're affecting
the butterfly
everything else
effect,
that happens
right?
afterwards. And
sure.
I think it's corny, but
everything
it's
happens
true.
for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. One thing leads to another. You get upset, and then you look back and say, fuck, man, I shouldn't have gotten upset. But getting upset made you realize that, and it affected something down the line, right? So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that mistakes are good and all that, but they do have an effect on the next thing that's going to happen.
Exactly.
And
But you got to kind of keep that mindset of always trying to better yourself and all
for
that.
Sure.
And for sure, like you're thinking... Those Native Americans would never do that. I know you're just throwing out a crazy hypothetical, what if? But
what if
it's not that crazy. It's not one of those things like, damn, it was just a mere chance that the Europeans came over here before the Native. It's like, no, it wasn't a mere chance. The Europeans had better technology, ships, more people.
You have to ask yourself, what made it so curious for the Europeans to go out? Like, let's say we're living in
land.
Let's say we're living.
That's what it's always been about.
We're living
I think the thing we have to look at too is that they weren't going out to explore, right? They were honestly truly out to conquer. Mm-hmm. And I think they were trying to go see what land's available, what real estate's available for us to take over because we want to grow.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think that.
They were trying to do like the Romans,
a little bit of both.
Man.
It was a little both.
I think
they were trying to conquer, but then there were some people who were adventurous.
Because let me paint you a picture real quick. You see a friggin' ocean, right? Let's say, I know it's hard to understand and all that, but let's say we go to Galveston, right? And you see that friggin' ocean outside. In your first head, is it? I wonder if there's lands out there.
I would argue that people are curious by nature, bro. I would argue that.
Well, they are, but but what drove? Why is it that the Native Americans?
Well, because I think what we're trying to say is that, like Michael said, you were so exposed to so many different people that hey man, we've done it before. We've gone to and in Europe, like Michael said, they're a lot more closer. So they're not crossing oceans; they're crossing seas, like the Red Sea and all that. The Red Sea divides Greece from like Egypt and all that.
And that's the thing that you're about to say it too. They were willing to take the chance, right?
You have to have so many balls to do that, dude. Honestly, did you see ocean out there?
Yeah.
You don't know what's out there.
Man, honestly, man, that applies to a lot of shit.
It applies to us now.
It applies
people
to
who want to go live off campus when they go to college. Why?
Big business guys.
You have that adventure.
Living off campus and going exploring a whole different world is different.
But I think what we're saying though is like even an investor, right? That's not inheriting some big dollar amount from their dad or granddad, right? That's not just born into money. Someone that's, worked hard and saves up a good amount of money that they want to invest into a small business or invest into stock or whatever that they're trying to multiply their money, right? You can be the smartest fucking guy on the stock market and know stocks really well, know when to sell, when to trade, and all that good shit. Yeah. You still have to have balls under because it's still a risk.
Big-ass risk.
It's a big-ass risk.
Yeah.
And you still have to have those balls to just go and do it, especially when you're talking about money that, I mean, none of us have, right? But you're talking about $1 million, even 100,000 that you've worked fucking 10 years to save, 15 years to save. And now you're just going to give it and hope because you're taking a chance.
Yeah.
Nothing in investing in business and nothing's guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't give a damn if someone says, hey, there's a really good chance. And you know that the market's really high for it. You don't know how long that's going to go. You're not going to invest 100,000 to make 110 and then next year it collapses and you're in debt.
No, and going back to those Native Americans, dude, they had balls too. But like we're saying, there's a less population of them. They have a lot more land to cover before they ran into something that was even somewhat a prospect, you know? I mean, because they're building these civilizations. It cut off? Well, guys, video cut off, but we're going to keep going with the audio for a little bit.
Hey, one thing, man, I don't know. I know we didn't talk about this before, but I kind of just wanted to throw it out there, an idea that I had. But whoever is listening right now and has been enjoying these episodes, this is my first one, so I'm not even going to sit here and try to take credit for any of his, Jonathan and Matthew, 100%. But if you're enjoying it, and listening to us, I know we get off in tangents and start rambling about stuff like the fucking Amazon. But no, if there's something in there that's, you enjoy hearing us argue and be stupid, because that's all we're really doing, just having open conversations and here just chilling more than anything. My sister's working on making a social media for this podcast team. So we'll be on social media hopefully soon, and this video that we just recorded tonight will be on there. But, if you want to send a comment and there's a topic that, is piquing your interest or just something that you want us to hear us be stupid about, or a debate that you may be having at home with your sibling, or just something stupid, right? It can be anything. I mean, we're pretty savvy when it comes to talking about anything and anything, music, sports, entertainment. We're talking about the fucking Amazon and college. We've kind of talked about a wide range of things. So if there's something that you want to hear us talk about or discuss, or give our 2 cents on, then, please shoot us a comment. If you want to text these fools, because I'm sure all their listeners
the Insta.
On the Insta.
I got like 100 followers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our first video for season 2, episode 1, should be pretty good. So, well, again, shout out to my sister for doing all that and setting this up. So she's kind of our manager. Well,
she's our PR person, PR marketing.
Well, when we posted the job on LinkedIn, it was a biatch.
Yeah,
was the name of the actual title.
Whoa, I wouldn't call her that.
I made sure she was gone before I said it.
You're gonna get a slap later, dude.
No, but back to what we were discussing.
Dude, fuck the Amazon, dude.
The Native Americans aren't here for a damn reason.
I know that Amazon has big ass ants.
I know. No, but just talk about how different life would be. Okay, I know it's a big if, right? But
did you want to be an Inca or something, bro? Shit.
Well, we are Aztecs, or our ancestors are Aztecs. No, but
I'm not an Aztec, bro. I'm pure European.
Can you explain? Can you guys go into detail of how much you think life would be different if we would be living in that kind of time right then, as far as
we're saying if the Native Americans had it their way and their way of living was right now, we wouldn't even be here, bro, because they would have killed our asses already.
No, we would be here.
They only let the Europeans in because they thought they were gods, coming in with all their shiny metal and armor and silver and gold and all that, or silver rather. They killed off all. That's why they brought the Europeans in, because they thought it was like part of their Mayan or Inca prophecy and all that. It's a hard way of living, man. The bigger question is, would you want to live like a Native American?
Would you?
Dude? I don't think so, dude.
I
like the fact that
what's so wrong with their values?
It's really difficult.
With their traditional, because they have some good values.
But
as far
their
as
values,
like how they
values, I don't think because they were all spiritual as well. A lot of them, some of them were, some of them weren't. Some of them were just savages, bro. Because you go to some islands,
I've seen
uncivilized right now, they'll kill your ass.
I've seen Apocalypto where they cut the heart out and
those guys were savages. But there were some. I get it. There were some who just were very nomadic.
They live off the land, and they value family values. And what's so wrong about that?
Well, the family values they're doing aren't the same as yours, bro. You come from a Christian tradition, bro.
Forget about those guys and just on your own. If you're living off the land and you have your family, and
like Little House on the Prairie.
No, yeah, but more like tribal, right? You're actually living off the land, where you have to start a fire to make your dinner. You have to go hunt for food. What's so wrong about that, right? I mean, a lot of our values today are family.
Well, for one, we wouldn't have having this conversation right now.
No, well, obviously we wouldn't. But what's so wrong about living off the land?
Well, I don't think it's.
There's nothing wrong.
I don't think it's wrong.
Isn't that what the Native Americans thought that what they were doing?
Hey, dude, when the Europeans brought horses on, those Native Americans started riding it. You know why? Because it was a lot easier to ride a horse than it was to run like 20 miles.
You brought
on
a good
foot.
segue. I feel like Native Americans view technology, right? Technology, we often like, misinterpret that as like iPads and iPhones and
technology is all like innovation to make life easier.
Technology is any innovation that makes life easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like they would reject that, right? Like if we were to go like, because you see it all the time, like, or like wells, right? Like getting water and basic nutrients and all that. Why was it so far away? Like, we had to walk 3 miles to go get water. Why? Why wouldn't you just make a well
right
next to your door? You can't just make a well
anywhere.
That's my next question. How do you make a well? What tools do you need to make a well? Can we make a well like in back of Michael's yard right now?
Well, your point is that you don't know how to do that.
Yeah, how do you make a well?
And you're saying that's a bad thing that you don't know how to make a well.
Exactly. How do you?
It's
how
just
do you get
different,
a water?
bro. It's different life. I mean,
no,
3,000 years ago, you had to know how to
Specifically,
hunt a mammoth, like a
you know
woolly
how-
mammoth.
Do you know how to get water right now? We're in the yard right now.
Not at all. I mean, I'd probably go to a river or a creek or something.
What does a well do to get you water? You just dig far enough to get water from the
Well,
earth?
water's under the ground. Land is only
you
so
dig
thick.
far enough. You dig far enough to get water.
You got to be near a water
all these
source.
guys that have septic tanks and stuff, right? They have like a long 20, 30, I don't know how long that pipe is, but they have a long-ass pipe that goes into the ground that comes up. Obviously there's a
From a
pump,
water
there's a
source,
pump
right?
house up top that's kind of pumping that water out.
But you need a water source, right? So they're getting it from somewhere. Like if you were to dig a well right here
obviously
in the yard,
the water's coming
there
from
should
somewhere.
be water really under anywhere, right? Unless you're in like a heavy drought. But like all these rivers and stuff, they're, water's underground.
No, but what I'm trying to ask is, you can't just dig a well anywhere, right?
You can dig and you'll
There's
probably strike
some areas
water.
that are like really drought, but I'm pretty sure this area is not. If we dug deep enough, we would strike water here.
We're on marshland. This is swampland, dude. Sienna swampland,
that's
isn't
where you
it?
would get your water source from, right?
Yeah.
Assuming we're like in Native American
Yeah,
days?
yeah.
Well,
No,
assuming then
but I think speaking to that, man, like,
No, but, like,
I don't think it
I
matters
guess-
what
I
culture
guess-
you
I
are.
guess-
You learn to adapt. Yeah, I mean, you even look at countries like Central America. You go over there, and that's where a lot of the Native Americans that we're talking about right now originated. So you would think, man, they had all this shit going on. They should be so much more advanced than everybody else, but they're not. They're so far back in times right now. You go to Guatemala or something like that, they're so back in the times that they have no clue what
And I
what's
think
current
Jonathan's
today.
saying it's going back to, I guess, tying it all back, that practical knowledge. They're smarter than us, because if you told them, like, hey, motherfucker, here, you're out in the wilderness,
They
go
could
survive, they would survive easily.
No,
They
but
would know how to
what
make a
What
fire.
I'm trying to get is like,
I don't know how to fucking make a well, bro.
Exactly, but why? Like what? Because like even like going like we kind of skim the surface of Native Americans and Europeans and that way of lifestyle and all that, but why is it that I seem like, now that you talk about Africa, you said Africa. Why is it that it seems like Africa is always like they still haven't figured their shit out? Like, why is it that Africa is still like third world?
Well,
kind
over
of
there,
lifestyle.
it's not so much because, one, it's just so corrupt over there. Because their land is so fertile, they have so many resources over there. They got diamonds,
it
oil.
seems like
they
every
got...
other continent, excluding Antarctica, has gotten. Even you can
Well,
say,
see, now
like,
you're kind of
South-
getting into why some racist people are
No, no,
racist
no, like,
against
even
No,
South
but
African
I think
Americans.
honestly, man, though,
like South America, like Honduras, and even like Guatemala and all
Yeah.
that. They still have that kind of crap figured out.
And they're
a little
poor, though.
bit.
It's
poor.
But
It's
about money.
Africa is still like in poverty. Like,
Well,
like,
so,
but
you
you
know,
know-
many
you know-
Latin
bad.
American
Why?
countries are too.
you know
bro.
how, Cancun, they're the actual town Cancun. If you go down, they're probably poor as hell.
Yeah.
Where they make probably 80%
Tourists.
of their money tourism, right?
exactly.
And not only did they say, hey, you know what, we're on a beautiful beach, let's build these buildings, let's build these hotels. The people from Cancun didn't say that. I guarantee you most of the hotels and stuff are owned by people outside of Mexico that built it and invested money in there. It was an investment. Why? Because they have a beautiful beach, so they took advantage of that and said, you know what, we're going to build a resort right here, and it's going to hit, and it's worked. It's worked for a really long time. In Africa, what the fuck do you have? We're going to build these badass TP hotels, but there's going to be a big-ass risk you're going to get eaten by a fucking lion.
Exactly.
Like, they don't really have that they don't have anything really for as far as tourism goes, except for like doing those safaris and stuff. Yeah. Which a lot of people, I mean, what are you gonna rather do? Go on a fucking safari or go to the beach and have a good time? Yeah. You're gonna go to the beach, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying I would like to do a safari, but it's one of those things. If I ever get a free trip over there, I'll go. Yeah. But I'm not gonna pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to go on a fucking safari to see a giraffe and lion, right? So no businessman's really gonna invest heavy into some African, state, or I don't know what they call them. I don't know if it's states or whatever. Country, but states. Then no one's gonna go invest a shitload of money to Africa to try to pull tourism in. And I don't know that they have any resources there as far as like, big.
Well, see, I take that back too, because I was saying they are very resourceful. They're resourceful as far as like
I don't think
not
so,
like oil and gas, but there are some lands that are well, no, I don't know.
Let me just say.
I think they're one of the countries that's known for like people, not having much to eat and shit.
Yeah, that's true.
But why is it that, like I said, and you can answer it back then? It seems like every continent, right? Europe. I mean, what are there seven? There's 7 continents on this world, right? What are they? South America, North America, Asia. Europe,
Antarctica,
Africa, and Australia.
Is Australia?
Excluding Antarctica, Africa is still like living in this third
world country.
Doesn't
the Middle East fall under the African continent?
It's Asia,
I think they fall under Asia.
But it seems like
that can be a little outdated too, because I'm going back to like 4th grade for that.
It seems like Africa is like it hasn't gotten its crap together. Why? It seems
I don't know
like
if I don't know if the ball's typically in their court though, right? Because it goes back to what I'm saying. Most countries rely on money from other countries, from other people.
That's what I was getting at. It's
so
like,
they just, they don't really have that.
If I had to paint Africa,
they don't have that. Go ahead, bud.
If I had to paint Africa and like as far as like people, right? If you had to like do an analogy. It's kind of like Africa. We use Africa and like the countries within Africa as a way to like, let's say like your uncle who's drunk, right? You use it as but don't end up like your uncle, right? Because he's
don't end up like Africa.
Don't end up like Africa, right? Your mom tells you every day. Your dad, your parents tell you every day. You should eat your food because like people in Africa are starving right now. It's kind of like you've given up on Africa. You've given up. You use that as an example of. Don't do this. If not, you're gonna end up like Africa.
You're talking about from like a country perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like that.
Well, I think
it's like that uncle you give up. It's like that uncle you give up on, right? You start using him as an example. We have an uncle that we use an example, right? That don't do this, and don't do that.
Well, I guess from the moral perspective, you should never give up on a person, just like you should never give up on a country.
Why?
Hopefully.
Why do we use that as an example?
Well, it's like I think Michael was touching base on it a lot. He was saying. People kind of took advantage of it from before, just like the way the Europeans did to the Native Americans. There's a reason why the Native Americans aren't here anymore, as far as the dominance they had over this before the Europeans came. Africa's a similar situation. You got all these different countries who were much more powerful, stronger, more developed. You got Britain. I'm not a fucking history buff or anything, but Britain definitely went into Africa, started colonizing and all that, took it, pillaged their land. Took it from themselves. So Africa from the beginning, before all that, back in the Native American times, their Native American times, I bet they thrived. Yeah. I'm sure they were doing good. But then the other people come in and they take advantage of them, take advantage of their land, and then now they're screwed. They got off on the wrong foot.
They're in a bad location now. Like it's Africa's so goddamn big that it's not like
what do you
like
mean?
Italy and Spain or Italy, and Spain or
Portugal and Spain.
They're all right there. You can take a fucking few-hour train ride and you're there in another country already.
Africa, when we were in Italy, we took a 4-hour train ride and we could have been in Spain.
We went from Rome all the way to Milan in like 4 hours, and we went all the way south.
And then another hour and a half, we would have been in France.
Yeah, we would have been there in France, and that's why they offer those passes over there in Europe. The European train pass or whatever.
You don't even need a passport to get over the border.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is the train pass? It's good because you can be in all those damn countries within a matter of hours, right? And Africa got kind of short end of the stick. And not that I'm not against it or for it by any means, because I've never been and I really don't care to go. But hunting, right? Hunting is one of those things. Africa, a lot of hunters from here that are big time, love to hunt, love that prize. they go to Africa. Why? Because they want to shoot the really exotic animals. They want to kill a zebra. They want to kill an elephant. So they go over there for that. So that's the one thing that Africa right now, unfortunately, it's hunting, but they have that to offer. But then they still have restrictions on, no, we can't kill these animals. They're endangered and this. So, Africa's, you got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah. Like the one thing I have to offer, you're putting restrictions on me for.
Yeah, the hunting.
So it's like kind of like Galveston, like no one's fucking going there because it's a nice beach. And the one thing you'd go there for is to fish, maybe. And it's like if they said no fishing here, like no one's gonna go to Galveston anymore. It's cool for us because it's a quick little getaway. But yeah, I think Africa's in that same boat. No, I'm not comparing Africa to Galveston, obviously, but
I am because it's fucking filthy over there.
And I'm just saying.
Shout out to Galvey.
Shout out to Africa.
G-Town.
Yeah. I mean, you could ask that question for anything, dude. Why are things the way they are? Why are bad? It's just like, man.
I think the best thing to come out of Africa is the Shakira Waka Waka video, right? The Waka Waka video was the best thing to come out of Africa.
2010 South Africa? Yeah. Well, it's like Michael said, dude.
Waka
Africa's so
waka,
big. It's like saying, hey, like America, and you're talking about South and North America. Yeah. Shakira's the best thing to come from it.
Shakira. Ooh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad.
Still be one. Hold this fort down real quick for me, bud. Give me a second.
Yeah, I got you, dude. And, the whole thing I was saying about Africa is that we often kind of forget and use that as a platform to use it as a way of an example of the way not to be, right? The way not to live. The way not to function in society.
And it's not even so much not to live, dude, because there's some really, I mean, without getting into like racial stereotypes.
Can you name any big cities in Africa besides
Johannesburg and?
But that's South Africa. Besides South Africa.
Well, see, but I'm not a history guy, dude. I don't know. I can't name you big cities in any country.
Yeah, you can. In Italy, what's a big city in Italy?
Okay, well that's Milan,
what's a big city
Rome.
in France?
Honestly, Paris.
What's a big city in Nigeria?
I thought Nigeria was. I don't know.
It's a country.
Yeah.
See. That's what I'm saying. We're not too informed
on
Africa.
Well, dude, it's not because
it's not our fault.
Yeah, it's just because nobody goes to Africa. What's in Africa? Africa's an underdeveloped country. That's exactly the way.
But no, my thing is
it's like people use Africa as a way of not to live. It's like Africa.
It's super undeveloped.
We want to get rid of it. That's not part of it.
That's the thing, though. Like honestly, man, you can't compare and that's what I was talking about. It kind of goes back to my point real quick.
I can't name a city in Guatemala
of resources, right? Of resources, you can't say that all the people in Africa are dumb and all the people in London or the UK, right? Mm-hmm. England are smart, because that's not the case. They just the UK is right there in the center. They're west, but they're a hub right there. Yeah. And I've had the privilege of going to the UK a few different times. To a few different places there in England. But you just go into London because that's where you're gonna fly into London Heathrow, and you go into the town. Like I had to, I was lucky enough to go and roam around. And I told you that's where I dropped the ball with that guy that
wanted to take you to an Arsenal game, bro.
He's like, hey, we got two options. He's like, I got the day plan where we can go see certain things in London, all the key tourist spots, or I can go get us 2 tickets to go see the Arsenal game today. I wanted to tell a fucking Arsenal, right?
Well,
but I felt bad because he kind of hinted like I planned this shit, and so I was like, man, like let's do what you. Okay, great. And I was like, fucking shit.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I had a great time, but now going back to my point, is you go to London and there's so many cultures there, dude. You'll see a lot of Indian. Like Middle Eastern people.
Oh yeah, dude, because so many people migrate there.
Yeah,
you could say the same. Jonathan's
talking
about.
You see a lot of Spaniards there.
Yeah,
it's
everybody,
just a big
bro.
mix.
Just like the U.S.,
You're not gonna go to Africa and see a big mixture. Still, why would they go over there?
But why though? Like Jonathan said, one dude. It's super corrupt over there. Their own government screwing over their own people, taking advantage of it for money.
Yeah, they don't mind if they starve to death.
Yeah, of course, because they're getting their own. It's so violent. Like, damn, I'm not gonna go to Somalia, to go get my fucking mutilated over there. Yeah, like just the same way. I'm not gonna go to war-torn Middle East, like why would I go over there? Why are they less developed? It's like, hey man, they got some of the richest countries over there because of the oil, but the government's corrupt, takes advantage of their own people. So it's not like, and I know Jonathan wasn't blaming us, but for me, it's like, it's not my fault. I don't want to go to Africa, dude. I don't want to go just because me personally, I don't want to get killed over there.
Yeah.
It's scary over there from what I know from the news. Who knows? Could be all fake news, dude. You know, I don't know. I've never
and
been.
My thing is like they haven't done anything to promote that they've got something nice over there, right? Like you don't see, well,
like you said, besides beaches, the safaris, whatever.
You know, and that's not my real thing. I fucking hate going to the zoo here, period.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to see a giraffe, I go to the Houston Zoo, probably one of the better zoos in the U.S. But I don't give a shit about that. My thing is like, you know, going to Africa, there's nothing that really
pulls
gets
you
my
there.
attention, man.
And it could, and like Jonathan was saying, it could be ignorance on our part. Hey, man, I don't know, but I don't do.
I'm sure they have some cool
I'm
stuff.
sure everybody has something to offer, dude. Obviously, I'm sure if Africa wasn't so war torn, so corrupt, so violent right now, I'm sure a lot more people would be going for the aesthetics of it, right? That they're beautiful land, beautiful animals. You know, it's just they get a bad rap. And rightfully so, though, because it is pretty terrible from what the news reports over there. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So we're not going to be going to Africa anytime soon. Yeah.
But no. So, anyway.
Yeah, so not traveling to Africa anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
what are we at? Well,
the only reason I would travel to Africa is like to get Shakira, right?
Well, she's Colombian,
Waka
bro.
Waka.
So you're gonna be like,
you're gonna be in Africa waiting.
You're gonna be African waiting for a while.
Like in Nigeria, looking. Where's Shakira at?
No, I think her and Piqué actually live full time in Africa when he's not playing for Barcelona.
For Barcelona, and when she's not touring for concerts, they live in the Amazon rainforest. I heard they have 2 houses back in Africa and one in the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, with like thousands and
thousands of people, and nobody even knew they were there. Fucking jackass.
Did y'all know that?
Did y'all know
Did
that?
you know Amazon?
Motherfucker, no, and we don't care.
No, and I don't care. Nah, that brings up good points. You never know what we're going to talk about here. I think that's what makes this podcast so much fun, is that we're going to be all over the place. What are we at, though? We've been at it for like an hour and 45. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Mike Guzman. So what'd you think, dude? Your first podcast
pretty good,
out
man.
here.
Honestly, man, like, you know, I think the biggest thing that I had told y'all when y'all were first doing it is like, man, you're going way too long, but I think we've probably been more than that.
This is going to be our longest one for sure.
So, and honestly, man, it went by pretty quick. Yeah. So those listeners that have stayed with us, thank you. First off,
and like we said from day one, we hope to get.
Idiot. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, we appreciate it, but yeah, I mean, you know, for you guys that are saying, man, they're going way too long. Honestly, when you're here talking, it doesn't feel like that long at all. So we appreciate you, even if you're listening to us, you know, piece by piece or just certain things. Again, you know, we'll be having a social media page coming out on multiple platforms. But for those of you that have our numbers, man, feel free to text us. Obviously, it's going to be family and close friends right now. Hopefully you guys can help us spread the word. But, you know, if there's anything you want to comment on, again, like I said earlier, you know, if there's any topic that you want us to discuss or a debate even, you know, today we started off greatest basketball player of all time,
Michael Jordan,
Steve Kerr. But no, if there's any topic that you want to discuss or argument brought to the table or something that, you know, content that you enjoy us talking about or certain shit that you want us to just shut the fuck up about, you know, let us know. Again, we're winging a lot of this stuff. We're not pros by any means, so there's a lot of stuff we can clean up. So any input would be much appreciated.
Yeah, and I think Mike said it best right now, so really not much to say. Like he said, we're only going to get better. Hopefully that's the plan, to keep talking, keep conversing. And like me and Jonathan said from day one of that season 1 episode that was so terrible compared to hopefully this, I hope.
Horrible.
Yeah, horrible. We're just trying to be honest. We're just trying to be sincere with you guys. Try to keep it real. I think I speak for both my brothers here that when we're talking, I feel like you're really going to get our personal opinions, who we're really trying to be. So, like we said, just be patient with us a little bit. We're still learning a little bit. Hopefully, we're gonna keep getting better. And like I always say, good keeps getting better. So, Jonathan, any last words before we wrap this bad boy up?
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Like we said, you know, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but we're new at this and we're learning as we go. So, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and you know, we're gonna get better from this. So.
All right, guys. You have a good night. Y'all stay healthy.
Hey, Mike, thanks for coming on this episode.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well,
he's on every episode.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
He's not a guest.
That's what I'm saying.
If it's a one-time thing, then y'all need to get the fuck out of my house. So
Mike's here to stay. He better be. He better be, because I think you can tell right away that Mike Mike G has a lot to offer for this podcast. So keep
this
listening, guys. And like I said, we're gonna get better. Y'all stay safe, stay clean. Keep washing those hands and take it easy.
I'm
Good
Jonathan.
night.
Yeah. We have Michael, Matthew. This is the G for Guzman podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, guys.